Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vese. Ahead of the Osun governorship elections, one of the major candidates has received a major blow to his chances in the polls. The Nigerian police has directed the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Ademola Adeleke, to appear before its special investigation panel at the force headquarters in Abuja. The senator is to appear before the police to answer questions relating to examination malpractice, criminal conspiracy, breach of duty, aiding and abetting. The investigation and allegation relates to the legality of his NECO certificate, and the police allege Senator Adeleke and his brother Sikiru Adeleke made false statements in relation to their 2017 NECO results. Meanwhile, the Ekiti Governorship Election Petition Tribunal will continue its sitting in Abuja. The decision to relocate the tribunal from Ekiti State followed a request made by the People's Democratic Party to the panel. Now, the party is challenging the victory of the All Progressives Congress candidate Kayode Fayemi. Fayemi is expected to be sworn in October 16, 2018. In other electoral news, the Joint Committee of the Senate and House of Assembly on Electoral Matters has passed the fourth version of the Electoral Amendment Bill. President Muhammadu Buhari has declined assent to the bill 3 times over the reordering of the sequence of elections. Now, the chairman of the committee, that's Senator Suleiman Nazif, says the committee has now merged the second and third bill into fourth Electoral Act Amendment Bill to address some of the president's complaints, including the use of card readers. He says the new amendment to Section 138 of the Principal Act will delete 2 crucial grounds upon which an election may be challenged by candidates, unduly limiting the right of candidates to a free and fair electoral review process. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it has not banned the use of smartphones around polling unit areas. The electoral body says the rule only comes into effect once a prospective voter enters the voting cubicle to cast his or her vote. Rotimi Oyekami, Chief Press Secretary to INEC Chairman, made the clarification in reaction to a statement issued by Uche Secondus, the National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. His statement condemned the decision of INEC to ban the use of smartphones at polling booths, and Secondus had alleged that the decision was to perfect a rigging formula for the ruling All Progressives Congress, but Oyekami says the challenge of vote buying and selling had prompted many stakeholders to call on INEC to devise innovative ways to tackle the problem. Now, after 18 consecutive months of decline, Nigeria's inflation rate now appears to be on the rise, with the figure of the month for August put at 11.23%. The reversal comes less than 6 months to the 2019 general elections, prompting concerns about the impact of the elections on the economy. Our correspondent, Adeshewa Odushoga, has been finding out if the concerns are legitimate. Let's take a listen.
It's the season of elections in Nigeria, and it appears the Nigerian economy may be taking a hit. After 18 consecutive months of decline, Nigeria's inflation finally rose to 11.23% in August. The figure represents a 0.09 percentage point increase from the 11.14% in July. The increase comes less than 5 months to Nigeria's general elections, and analysts are warning that there may be further increase in the nation's inflation rate. In the new inflation report, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics cited price increase on some food items as part of the reasons for the rise in inflation. For financial analysts like investment banker Johnson Chukwu, the coming elections could have adverse effect on market prices and standard of living in the country.
When inflation begins to move northwards, it erodes the purchasing power of the currency. In effect, those who are on fixed income or regular income suffer more during inflationary period because the purchasing power of their income gets reduced. They can no longer afford to have to consume the same quantity of goods and services they used to consume on the same income. In effect, you're going to see a deterioration in the standard of living of citizens, assuming the northward movement continues. But it was most expected that as we move towards an election period, as more liquidity gets injected into the economy, and worsened by the fact that we've seen a lot of constraint in food production in the north central, north east, which had been lingering for a long time, and now northwest. So we was expected that we're going to see a food inflation that would drag up the index, the consumer price index. The list of INEC budget, when it's approved, will only add to the election-related expenditure that is contributing to the reversal of the downward trend we saw in inflation. So we expect a lot more pressure on the consumer price index as we move to the election period.
Aside the elections, Nigeria's rapidly growing population has been noted to have an impact on economic growth. A new report from the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation says more than 40% of the extremely poor people in the world will live in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Nigeria by 2050. Chukwu highlights how Nigeria can avoid the gloomy prediction.
The African leaders have not been strategic in their planning. If you look at China, China has a rolling development plan that is renewed every regular interval. China has strategic plan as it relates to every sector of the Chinese life: infrastructure, healthcare, education, name it. Africans have not been known to have that depth of planning. The last set of planning that Nigeria had was in the 70s or thereabout, when we had our 5-year development plans that were rolling plans. What we now call medium-term expenditure plan is not really a strategic plan. We do not have, I'm not aware that we have a plan as adheres to the healthcare to make sure there's health coverage for every Nigerian, and Nigerians have access to quality health. I'm not aware of a comprehensive educational plan that takes care of the number of children born every year, their educational need at the primary school level, secondary school, and university level. So unlike China that has more than 1.3 billion people, that plans for everybody. So that is what is lacking. The reality is that if we get the leadership right, there's no reason why we should not begin to develop like other countries are developing.
The new inflation report comes weeks before the Central Bank of Nigeria holds its Monetary Policy Committee meeting. The committee has left interest rates pegged at 14% for more than 2 years now. And with the inflation rate rising again, many will be keenly watching to see how it reacts. Adeshewa Odushaga, TV360, Lagos.
The Nigerian Army has announced major successes in the battle against Boko Haram terrorists. Army spokesman Brigadier General Texas Chukwu says 5 insurgents were killed in various operations in Yabiri Kote and Bula Dadobe of Bama local government area of Borno State. He says the operations were carried after troops discovered some terrorist camps operating in the area. The spokesman also says troops recovered 3 AK-47 rifles, 2 improvised explosive device, and 1 primed improvised explosive device belt from the insurgents. Meanwhile, a non-governmental organization, Good Governance Ambassadors of Nigeria, GOGAN, has asked Nigerians to support the new Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Bichi, as he begins his role in office. Bichi's appointment has been greeted with various reactions, but the Good Governance Ambassadors say the background and experience of Bichi makes him a good candidate for the role. They want Nigerians not to focus on tribe, but what he has to offer.
We have taken time to analyze all the criticisms against Mr. Bichi's appointment, and we have worried to note that not one has questioned his qualification, pedigree, competence for the job. No one has questioned his integrity, patriotism, and professionalism. All what the critics have against the appointment is that is the part of Nigeria where he has come from. Our investigation revealed that Mr. Yusuf Bichi, Magaji Bichi has been described by retired and serving security personnel as competent, capable, and most suitable to return the service to professionalism, and a capable officer to position the service and serve the interests of the nation. it is a sad commentary that rather than ask the right questions with direct bearing to the job, people of Liputan mindset are only preoccupied with his tribe, tongue, and religion. The job of the nation's spy chief is a very sensitive one, which should be insulated from the Lanceros politics of ethnicity, tribalism, and religion.
This government have inherited a defenseless structure, which you can see the positive change that is cutting across the surface of Nigeria today. That is why I feel they talk about him that is a core security person. Anybody that is a core security person is someone that we believe has an exceptional qualities in terms of security and intelligence, in terms of socio-cultural intelligence that can, boost the interagencies connectivity. So that is why I feel the president have find it fit to appoint him as the DG SSS.
You're still watching News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We have news and business coming up right after this break, so stay tuned. You're welcome back. And now we have TV360's very own Annette Felix with the latest update in business. So Annette, what's going on?
Well, the Convention on Business Integrity says it is concerned by the actions of the Nigerian regulatory system and foreign investors in the country. The group is calling for a review in the conduct of both parties in the establishment of favorable policies and the adherence to rules and regulations.
I'm going to start, they say charity.
It is a gathering of legal practitioners and stakeholders in the financial industry. It is coming against the backdrop of recent penalties the Central Bank of Nigeria imposed on telecoms giant MTN and some banks in the country. The action of the CBN has cast a spotlight on the Nigerians' foreign investment policies, and these experts are here to dissect the policies and offer their own contributions.
We must ask ourselves here, what is the large objective that makes people, foreigners or Nigerians in foreign lands who have resources to invest, makes them take the decision they are going to come and invest here? What are their expectations, and what do they see as the, if you like, the overall objective that will make them invest this year, next year, and 10 years from now, so we don't suffer what Sojiapapa was referring to, an actual decline in foreign direct investment, because we need to grow. So we need FDI to grow as well.
Whether we believe multinationals are ripping Nigeria off or believe Nigerian regulatory actions are inept, both points of view seem to accept that Nigerian regulation and regulatory actions need to be made more effective. The question then, after the inevitable discussion of the different dimensions of the issue, is what strategies must we adopt to make regulation work better in the public interest? Our takeaways. By the end of the dialogue, we would like to come away with very concrete, practical steps that the private and public sectors need to take, preferably in collective action, to minimize the damage to the public interest arising from each of the prevailing schools of thought, with timelines and clear actions for different stakeholders present here to take.
After those introductory remarks, a panel of discussants set out to dissect the policies, offering their opinions on what needs to be done to make them work better.
We need certainty in our law. We need predictability of enforcement, independence of regulatory agencies in the army. Some of them should operate and disagree with the government when it's in the interest of the country. And that was the point I've been making. Government security is not the same thing as national security. There may be a government that wants to loot the treasury. And if you challenge that government, it talks of its own security. But that's not the security of the country. Certainty of law, due process, political will, even to enforce the law. And regulations. But sir, one law. I wrote to this government in 2015, November. Please, if you are looking for money, don't go abroad. Don't go there. You have refused to implement one law. The Deep Offshore and Production Contracts Act alone. And I said the government was losing money.
Once regulation is not transparent, once it's not consistently applied, once it's not, all necessary information is not readily available at the push of a button, and once it is not enforced consistently and at the right time, we are no longer competitive as a market.
The in-depth panel discussions draw reactions from the audience.
But the bigger question or the bigger problem is on the issue of governance. For example, we agreed today that there was a problem or there are regulatory gaps that need to be filled. But the question is, how do we fill these gaps? So a regulator takes an action, and we are questioning the action of the regulator. But what I would rather say is this, that having identified that we are coming from a place where regulation has been weak, and I think all of us can agree with that, regulation has been weak. There's been an unholy alliance, if you like, we usually say that in university days, in the student union, between the government and businesses in Nigeria today. And for us to change this, we need to start enforcing regulations. We need to amend regulations. But before we get to that point, there is the political aspect of it that is lacking, and that is what is generating the controversy. The communication or signaling of government intention to move in a particular direction.
The consensus here is that the policies need reviewing to make them work better for the country, and that foreign investors themselves must adhere to the rules. Nigeria recorded an increase of $808.56 million foreign direct investment in the fourth quarter of 2018, and the country averaged FDI of $129 billion from 2007 to 2018. Adeshewa Odushoga, TV360, Lagos.
The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has announced plans for its 46th annual general meeting, the meeting which will serve as the last under the current leadership of Frank Jacobs, who will hold between September 26th and September 27th at the Lagos Oriental Hotel, Victoria Island, Lagos. It will also involve several dignitaries, including Senate President Bukola Saraki and the President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo.
The two-day event provides opportunity for experts and chief executives of manufacturing concerns in Nigeria to evaluate the performance of the manufacturing sector of the economy in the past 1 year. Day one will host the exclusive private session in the morning, and later in the afternoon at 3 p.m., an open interactive session between the CEOs of Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, procurement officers of ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and the manufacturers. Thereafter, at 6 p.m., there will be an evening session which will focus on port infrastructure and access to funds of finance or credit. Day two is for the manufacturers' annual lecture / presidential luncheon, and it is equally a public event. The theme of the manufacturers' annual lecture presidential luncheon is mainstreaming policy to catalyze industrial renaissance. And our choice of the theme was born out of the need to appraise the performance of industrial policy initiatives with a view to ensuring that they are positively aligned to the industrial aspirations and overall economic development of the nation. His Excellency, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, is expected to attend the event as the special guest of honor, while His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President Republic of Ghana, will be our distinguished guest speaker.
Oil prices inched up on Wednesday as concerns that producers may not be able to cover a shortfall in supply once U.S. sanctions on Iran kick in and overweigh again in U.S. stockpiles. Brent's crude futures were up 16 cents at $79.19 per barrel, while U.S. crude futures were up to 20 cents at $70.05 a barrel. Prices rose also on Tuesday amid media reports that Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, was comfortable with prices climbing above $80 per barrel. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and non-OPEC producers, including the world's biggest producer, Russia, are meeting on September 23rd in Algeria to discuss how to allocate supply increases within their quota framework to offset the loss of Iranian oil supply. Let's take a look at the global stock market next. The bears returned today, but with a slight impact on the market as key indicators records a 0.02% decline in the all-share index to close at 32,375.12 basis points, while the market capitalization closed at 11.819 trillion naira. Now, over 190 million shares were traded at the cost of 1.773 billion naira in 2,280 deals. Now let's take a look at the top gainers today as CCNN tops the list of percentage gainers today, selling at 24.8 naira per share, and this is a 9.73% increase from their last closing sale at 22.6 naira per share. And we've seen a steady rise in the value of 40 oil shares from 19 naira on Monday to 20 naira on Tuesday and 22 naira today. Moving further, we see that UBA is a retainer on the top gainers table for 3 days in a row. While the consumer goods sector is the worst performer on the NSE today as International Breweries PLC tops the list of decliners. And what's interesting here is that for the past 7 market days, shares of Interbrew has been selling at 32 naira per share, but their share price edged lower by 2 naira today to close at 30 naira per share. And that's the same case for PZ over here. It has been selling on the NSE for 13.5 naira per share for the past 7 trading sessions, but declined by minus 7.41% to close at 12.5 naira per share today. while services, conglomerates, and oil and gas sector break the two-day streak of banking dominance on the top traders table today. Logistics company Red Star Express PLC leads the top traders chart, selling over 60 million shares worth 298.310 million naira. It was a bearish run on the Nigerian Stock Exchange today, but let's see how the stock market is performing outside of Nigeria. It was a bullish run in the global stock market today as the London Stock Exchange closed in the green with a 0.40% increase in the all-share index, and so did Nikkei over here, which recorded a 1.06% increase, and the New York Stock Exchange, which recorded a 0.73% increase in the all-share index. And that's it here on stock market.
Okay, Aneta, it seems to be a zigzag movement on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Bears Monday, bulls Tuesday, and today, Wednesday, it bears again. And then the global stock market, we see them all in the green, so that's good for them. UP. And now we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we'll have more stories on the international scene and in sports. So stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
What's your name?
Onosude Omorifi. May we check your own list, cause the list where they outside. Onosude name never do.
Your name is Onoriode. You even went as a fashion designer.
As you don't come back, so now I won't go as Akpobori Ovi, and Ovi won't go as pilots.
That is impersonation.
My own share for the national cake be that.
Mr. Onosode.
Akpobori.
The amnesty program is an intervention project for sustainable economic development of the Niger Delta, which you are a beneficiary of, lying under pretext for your selfish gain and advantage is robbing others of the same opportunity. And that is an act of corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
We're glad to have you back. Now, at least 19 Malaysians have died and more are receiving treatment following a series of suspected alcohol poisoning in recent days. More than 50 cases were reported in the capital city of Kuala Lumpur and the neighboring Selangor. Police also say 7 suspects who are operators and shop workers selling alcohol have been arrested. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has approved a $64 million budget for the immediate fight against cholera outbreak, which has killed at least 30 people in the capital, Harare. The chairperson of the Cabinet Committee on Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Management, Julie Moyo, says the funds will also be used to fight typhoid, which has also hit the city and other parts of the country. It is anticipated that well-wishers will donate to the fund with donations such as fuel, protective clothing, cleanup tools, refuse receptacles, food and water purification chemicals being channeled through the Harare Town Clerk's office. In sports, Enyimba stars Sunday Adetunji and Austin Oladapo insist the team must maintain focus after battling to a barren draw against Rayon Sports in their first leg quarter-final clash in Kigali on Sunday. The two-time African champions Enyimba face a tricky test against Rayon in the return leg in Aba on Sunday as they need a victory to advance to the next stage, while a score draw will see the Rwandese side through the last 4. Rayon coach Roberto Oliveira warned Enyimba after the Kigali clash to expect a tough fight for the ticket to the semis in Aba. World number 1 Rafael Nadal has forced to withdraw from the China Open in Beijing and the Shanghai Masters next month as he recovers from his latest knee problem. The 17-time Grand Slam champion was forced to retire from his US Open semi-final with Juan Martín del Potro earlier this month and has confirmed on Twitter that he will not be back in time for the Asian swing. Nadal, who's 32 years old, was due to defend his China Open title in early October, while he lost to Roger Federer in the final for the Shanghai Masters event a year ago. North Korea and South Korea have agreed to pursue a bid to co-host the 2032 Olympic Games. The Koreans have also agreed to participate jointly at international competitions, including the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo. The idea of a joint bid to host the Summer Games in 2032 was floated last week by Seoul Sport Minister Do Young-won. Do says the co-hosting the games would build on the success of the year's Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, where North Korea's participation helped ease tensions on the peninsula. Well, that's it on news now. You can watch some of our other programs on our website at www.tv360nigeria.com or download our app on Play Store, and it is TV360 Nigeria. Watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online. Also, we're on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360 Nigeria. We're live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria. And we are on Google Plus, and our handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. I am Esther Vese.